Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be going through Sage Intacct Paperless's new Smart AI OCR for helping you read your invoices automatically and code them out for your processing team on here. So when you're in Sage Intacct Paperless, to go to the OCR and show it the best, we're going to go to our AP Flow tab on the left side of our screen, and we're going to go to Invoice Entry. When you go into Invoice Entry, the first thing that's going to populate out is your invoice image and then your queue that you've learned about earlier. Your queue is your to-do pile on your desk or your holding place for documents before they are processed through Sage Intacct Paperless for approval. There's many ways to get documents into your queues. The biggest, most useful methods we find are automatic email import, our drag and drop, our push to queue, or other options like that. But it really comes into play with our automatic email import. So that Sage Intacct Paperless is going to go grab your invoices from an email account, and they're going to automatically pull them into our queue here that you select. When you have queue selected, we have a couple different options for types of OCR you can set up on a queue. You can have a public OCR queue that has just header only information grabbed from here. You also can have a public OCR queue that has line item details as well too. This is not only going to grab the header information from your invoice, but it's also going to grab the line item details from your invoice as well too. And then you can also have a regular queue for coding out invoices the manual way. This is all up to you as the customer of what you want to have and how you want to code your invoices out every single day. But to kick off our OCR process in Sage Intacct Paperless, you just have to get the document to the queue. Once again, you have the automatic or anywhere else, but today I'm going to show the manual method for time's sake. So from here, when I click Add Document, I have my folder structure pull up here from my laptop, and I can go grab some invoices. I'm going to go grab 3 invoices from my queue, from my folder watch over here, and this is going to pull those invoices into my queue. Our Smart Learning AI OCR is going to automatically start populating out and reading your invoices for you. So you're going to see some color-coded dots populate out as we go through, and it's reading the document. There's 3 types of dots that are going to populate out, and they all mean something different. The yellow dot means processing. The document is with the OCR AI reader reading your invoice. The green dot means complete. It's found everything you asked it to. And then sometimes you might have a red dot that populates out. This red dot doesn't mean that it didn't find anything from the OCR. All it means is it didn't find one piece of information you asked it to. So it's a warning for you as the customer to know, hey, something might be missing on this invoice from the OCR because it couldn't find it on there. But it's going to go find everything it can find on it as well too. When it comes to our OCR, there's a quick way to go see your workflows. And a workflow is something you're going to create with the customization team and our implementation team. This workflow is going to be what you as a customer want to grab from your invoices. So the queue I'm in right here is going to be our header only that we're going to show first. To go show the workflow and find out what exactly was captured on the document, I'm going to be able to go to my little book with a dot above it. And from clicking on that, this is going to bring out our Smart Learning AI OCR screen. This is going to populate out the image of our invoice on the middle. And then on the right side is our workflow that we have selected for this queue of what OCR is going to go grab for us. So as you can notice, it grabs our vendor name, our vendor ID, our invoice number, invoice date, invoice total, and a purchase order number on here. Keep in mind, this workflow is all customizable down to you as the customer for what you want to grab. So if you want job number populated out, payment terms, or anything else, we can go add that into the system for your workflow personally. When it comes to capturing the vendor information on the invoice, we do it a little smarter than most other OCR systems. We actually utilize the vendor address and the vendor logo, not just going off the logo. It's kind of a verification step for you. So when you have vendors that have multiple locations within your company, you know that you're getting your invoices coded to the correct vendor. So it'll look at the address, then it verifies, it says, yes, this address matches the vendor logo or the vendor name. And then it populates out the vendor ID from your Sage Intacct vendor table on here to make sure you're capturing the correct information. When it comes to things like the invoice number, the invoice date, the invoice total, and the PO number, because this is what they call a Smart Learning AI OCR system, you no longer have to map out every single field on the invoice to find it on there. This invoice OCR is looking for keywords and phrases on the document itself. Things like PO num, PO pound sign, invoice num, invoice pound sign. all those variations that vendors use throughout the whole country and the whole world are all embedded in the system to go find the correct information. So what that means for you as the customer is you no longer have to worry about when my vendor changes their layout, I have to go in and relearn or retrain their new invoice layout. The system knows it kind of cheats and looks for certain locations. And if it can't find something in that location because the vendor layout changed, it goes back and it reads that whole document for you so that you can now not have to worry about changing that because it's looking for those keywords and phrases on there. But whenever it goes through and it finds the information on the document, you can see all three of these have come back correct for me. I can go in, and when I do on the bottom left of my screen, starting a new invoice, this will now go and populate out my header information. We have a couple of extra things that actually populated out for us on here. So what happened on here is I told the OCR, when you find a PO number and a vendor on the system, automatically populate the line item of our purchase order quick list within Sage Intacct Paperless. And the purchase order quick list is going in and looking at the purchase order module within Intacct and grabbing the lines that are already coded in Intacct for this PO on here. Another smart thing that the system does is you'll notice if the total of the PO matches the total of the invoice, then it automatically populates out all the line items. But if the total of the PO and the total of the invoice do not match up, it's going to select all the lines for your processor or processing team to deselect which lines are missing or to change and adjust values on those POs as well too, because you might only be getting invoiced for a certain amount, or it might be a large PO with multiple invoices on it as well too. But if everything was good and I wanted all the lines, or I even wanted to deselect some of them, and maybe they just invoiced us for these last couple lines on here, I can add those lines to the invoice. We also still have our validation that runs. This invoice is a duplicate invoice because it's one of the demo ones we run through a lot on here. But I can just go change my invoice number. This would stop and not populate out for you as a customer though, because it's going to make sure that you don't have duplicates go in. So now I could go back to my purchase order quick list, grab my PO that I want on here. Let's see, what's my PO number? 73. Okay. Grab my lines that I wanted on here, and it's going to automatically populate out the data for each line based on what it grabbed from the PO module within Intacct for us. So that's how we do our header-only POs, and this works header-only invoices, and this works for purchase orders and subcontracts as well too. So you can set up your workflow depending on what you as the customer code your invoices to mostly, whether it's PO or subcontract. We always kind of recommend just doing the header only because we let it pull data directly from the Sage Intacct system itself. We then have another method for capturing OCR documents, and that's going to be our OCR with line item detail. So you'll notice I have some invoices queued up here. This one has a red dot. This one has my green dots of complete. If I go into my OCR itself, you'll see this has my header, my information for my invoice on here. I can go into my little smart learning book and see what an OCR workflow looks like from the learn screen with line item details as well too. So when we have line item details on here, you have your header information on the right side of the screen and you have your line item detail on the bottom. Our OCR is very nice and smart where now you just have to code out the first line of an invoice when you're training the line item invoices. And then you do what we call is a learn and extract on the bottom right. That means you don't have to go through every single line every single time when you're doing the initial implementation and training of the invoice layouts on here. But what this does is now when I do a new invoice, it goes through and it actually populates out based on what was on the physical invoice itself for our line items as well too. It grabbed my header information, but it also populated out all my line item detail as well too for me on here. All of this is done to help you as a processor, you as a CFO, or anybody else in your team to automatically code out your invoices for you. You don't have to worry about somebody fat-fingering a number, having any other problems of mixing up numbers or duplicating invoices as well too. We found there's a lot of studies out there that really help reduce your fraud problems as well too, because the system's going in. But also with the automatic email import in the OCR, it's like someone came in the middle of the night and coded all your invoices for you, or while you were at lunch, or while you were in a meeting. So now as invoices are dropping in your queue automatically from the email, they're automatically starting to be coded for you, and you can take it as far as you would like, from only the header information with the PO quick list and the subcontract quick list, all the way down to capture all my line items as well too. but it's all also customizable down to you as the customer for what you want. So when you go to your global settings on the bottom left in your OCR, you have your different workflows laid out. I have my header only workflow and I have my line item detail workflow. And when we go in and edit these options on here, you determine what workflow field it grabbed from the OCR workflow that we created for you, to what field it's going to populate that information out in your Intacct Paperless entry screen, even down to default values. So if I don't find a PO number, if I don't find a subcontract number on there, it's just going to default to our line type of 1, which is a job line. You can make it a job line, an expense line, anything you could think of. But then you can also pick certain quick lists, like our purchase order quick list or a subcontract quick list. So this could take it even further as to, hey, if I find a PO number, it's going to go look in the purchase order module within Sage Intacct. If that PO does not exist in the purchase order module in Sage Intacct, it's going to actually populate the line item out as a purchase order line, but it's going to be more of a field PO. It's not an actual invoice or PO that's in your Intacct system. These are all scenarios you'll go through with our implementation and training team to make sure it codes it out just like you had an extra set of hands coding your invoices for you.